Hello and welcome to our Flip video lesson 1.02 Athens. So our 1.02 Flip video recordings, they will be posted here once this recording posts. They'll be on the PDF so you can at any point in time take a look at those recordings if needed. Learning objectives of this lesson. As I mentioned in 1.01, some of the objectives from 1.01 would overlap with some of our objectives to 1.02. Identify key characteristics of life in Athens. Compare and contrast governments and values in Sparta and Athens. Identify people who could and could not be citizens of Athens. Define democracy and describe why Athenian democracy was groundbreaking. And identify democratic reformers and their accomplishments in Athens. So table of contents, introduction and lesson extras. Greek values and their lifestyles, so that's what we're learning about. Student guide questions, your student guide pages 268 to 270. Important vocabulary, you're going to use this vocabulary to help with your understanding of this lesson. And Human Odyssey reading pages 289 to 297. We can't possibly cover all of those objectives in full detail, and so it is really important that you do complete your readings for these lessons to have a full understanding. So 1.02 Athens Introduction. Sparta was a city where life centered on military battles, which is what you learned about in the 1.01, the previous lesson. Athens, in contrast, was a city-state where people loved to argue about ideas. Athens was a city-state of peace, plenty, and wisdom. Over time, men who were lucky enough to be citizens participated in government to a degree never seen before anywhere. So go ahead and open your student guide to page 268. And just another quick reminder, I know we talked about this with 1.01 lesson. Your student guide will say Unit 9, but remember, this is Unit 1. It's because it was a full year course broken up into 2 semesters, but the student guide doesn't know that, so it still thinks it's Unit 9. So when you look at your student guide, it'll say Unit 9. Not in the OMS, but on your actual book. So if you take a look at the chart on page 268, we're going to use that same chart, but we're going to go ahead and add a section. So go ahead and turn to page 268, and you should have that chart filled in with the exception of that very last spot, which I told you in 1.01 lesson, you needed to leave blank. So if you take a look here, we're adding in Athens, or we added in Athens. So you're going to need to go ahead and finish your chart. You can write the word Athens up there at the top on that blank section there. And then age at which most children left home. So children were raised in the home. Girls were often married by 13 years of age. So, you know, most of you are right around that age now. You would be close to married if you lived in the Athens civilizations in Athens time. Very, very strange, right? Gender roles, what do men do, what do women do? In wealthier homes, girls were taught how to run a household with servants and slaves. In poorer homes, they often had to work as servants or in the fields. Food supply, plentiful with fertile fields. Family living arrangements weren't really explained in Athens. Not much is detailed with that being said. But again, you can kind of maybe think about it in terms of, you know, if girls were 13 and they were often married, they were out of the house. Or maybe there was a multifamily situation that lived in the houses. Definitely very different for the wealthier versus those who were not as wealthy, as we've seen in many other early civilizations. Citizenship was available to men only, not available to women, slaves, or many of the foreigners. So again, Athens was a birthplace of our democracy, which was wonderful and a wonderful move towards democracy, but still had many, many limitations. Types of government, democracy in which all citizens were permitted to hold office and participate in assembly proceedings. And again, when we're talking about all citizens, we're talking men only, because at that point, citizenship was only available to men. Important values, freedom to debate politics and ideas in public, openness to new people and ideas because of the sea trade. So there was a lot of newness going on, a lot of groundbreaking things, and we're going to talk about that word groundbreaking here in just a second. So defining Athenian democracy, and that is actually on page, let's see, I switched my page. It's actually on page 270. You can fill this in if you'd like, or you could just leave it in your notes, that's fine, or, you know, leave it on this video. But that activity 3, defining Athenian democracy, if you want to write some of this, jot these notes down. This will actually help you with your assessment, so you may want to do that or you may want to get another piece of paper and you can just staple it to your student guide. So defining Athenian democracy, a definition of democracy as rule by the people, an explanation that Athenian democracy was a peaceful change from rule by the aristocracy to rule by the citizens, information about Solon as the leader who established the assembly to decide laws, set up people's courts with juries, and ended the imprisonment of debtors, and then inclusion of Cleisthenes as the, I'm sorry, that is such a hard word for me to say, Cleisthenes as the founder of Athenian democracy and credited as the person who opened the assembly to all citizens. My Latin, Greek, Roman language definitely could use some brushing up for sure. All right, so that was defining Athenian democracy. And then vocabulary is key to understanding comprehension. So democracy is a government in which rule is by the people. Reformer is a person who makes changes to something in order to improve it. Debtors, or a person or institution that owes a sum of money. And then groundbreaking is breaking new ground. So it can really mean what it says, breaking new ground, meaning, digging up ground to provide something new. But when we're talking about Athenian culture, innovative, pioneering, new ideas, groundbreaking ideas are innovative, are new, are fresh. Pioneering are things that have never been thought of before, but they're, just coming out. So that's what groundbreaking means as far as this lesson goes. Reading is key to understanding comprehension. So again, as I've said, we can't possibly have a full understanding of this lesson and what we do in class and through the flip videos. It is really important that you are completing your reading, pages 289 to page 297. Please make sure that you do have that complete, just to tie all of these thoughts and information together. And then from the Harper Book of Quotations, democracy is the greatest good to the greatest number, which is the measure of right and wrong. And that was said by Jeremy Bentham. And here we come to the end of our flip video. The secret to your future is hidden in your daily routine. Always do your best. Have an amazing day. Thanks so much for joining me today.